Yo, welcome back. Uncensored Locs. We got another beautiful, beautiful day. Thank God for another day. Shout out to Junior. Happy 4th birthday. Thank
Yes.
God for him. Thank God for you. Today we're going to have a very informative episode to you. We're going to talk about endometriosis.
Endometriosis.
Some shit like that. But it's a disease that affects how many people? Women?
Right now, the numbers is 1 out of 10, but it's not confirmed because a lot of women currently are living with it and don't know that they have it, and most aren't even diagnosed until stage 4, and which is usually when they find out that they're now infertile.
Right. Now, this is a very, I think, serious. Is it a disease? It's a disease. It's a very serious disease that gives very painful periods.
Not just periods, mostly
Right.
periods, but it can affect you throughout the month. So as you know,
Really?
without me, yesterday, woke up in the morning throwing up, extremely sick. I wasn't on my period, but then throughout the day, it was an on and off thing. Like I was okay 1 minute, and then I wasn't the next. I'm hunched over the next. Like it's an on and off thing. Usually, it can affect you during your ovulation cycle and your menstruation cycle. However, some women get pains every day. Some every other day. It could be on and off. Others see because it's not just the pain that's affecting you.
Right.
You have the nausea, which I suffer constantly throughout the month. Fatigue.
Right.
We know I can sleep like there's no tomorrow. I can sleep all day today, go to sleep tonight like I didn't just sleep all day, and wake up in the morning saying I'm tired.
I still have no energy to do anything.
Yes.
It affects your everyday life, and it takes a lot from you. It makes you not feel like yourself.
At all. Sometimes it could literally make you feel worthless. When you have a family, when you're living and you're trying to build something, but every time you get a job or you have a new passion or a new path that you want to take, and you're going to get sick every month. There's no and ifs or buts about it. It can be sporadic. It can be sometimes a specific time of the month. Jobs don't want that. In the beginning they'll try to be sympathetic, but after a while it's like, okay, well, when you get sick, who's going to do your job for
Right.
you? We need somebody here. And I've lost jobs because of that. And what was really heartbreaking at those times, I didn't know what was wrong with me because it took me 11 years to get diagnosed. And currently I'm not even fully diagnosed because to fully be diagnosed, you have to have the surgery,
Right.
which I'm in the process of going through.
Now, with this upcoming surgery, does it solve the issue? Will it be the end all be all of this disease, or would there be more issues?
Not at all. Apparently, there is no cure to endometriosis. That's probably the worst part of it because the surgery is considered the gold standard treatment. But for anyone who has endometriosis and has gone through the surgery, they can tell you that it's not just one surgery. It can be a surgery every 3, every 4, every 5 years. There's 2 different types of surgery. There's excision and then just abrasion. Unfortunately, a lot of GYN doctors just do abrasion instead of excision. Excision is the best way, not to get rid of it, but to get it all out. Because if you think about it, abrasion is basically you're burning the endometriosis off. Excision, they actually cut it out at the root. So it's harder for it to grow back. It takes longer for it to grow back. So that's the best method of getting rid of it. However, once you have that surgery, you would then be put on a hormone regimen, whether it be birth controls, hormone therapy, and that can be the combined pill, or it could be just the progestogen only pill. It could be the depot shot, or it can be the type of Mirena that they put inside of you. And that's only going to help manage you through the time up until your next surgery.
Right.
I've seen cases
No,
of...
hold on. No. Once you have the surgery, like how many years or months between the times do you think you have to have another surgery?
It depends, one, on how aggressive, because this disease is very individual. It's also what makes it very hard for them to come up with a solution for, because to diagnose this, it usually takes anywhere from 8 to 12 years in anyone's case. Because this is a disease that requires so many different specialists that don't communicate with each other. So, one person can have endometriosis just in the outside walls of the uterus. That would be stage 1. And they might be able to get that surgery and go 10 years. And be fine because it's not that bad for them. And then you have someone who has endometriosis, like the story of the woman we just watched, everywhere.
Right.
It's invaded everything. And it's going to be a horrible surgery. It's going to be a painful surgery. And she's going to have the chance of, in 2 or 3 more years, it's already going to start growing because she probably has a higher estrogen level. Estrogen is what feeds this. They have other treatment options, which is a hysterectomy. Unfortunately, there's a lot of women that get the hysterectomy and they still have endometriosis.
I have no idea what the hell that is. What is a hysterectomy?
A hysterectomy is basically when they go in and they remove everything. Your uterus, your ovaries, your fallopian tubes. They remove it all.
Your reproductive organs.
Yes. You can't have kids anymore. Unless you obviously did something like freezing your eggs and things of that nature.
Now, that's the more extreme solution?
Yes, except it's not really a solution because these women that gotten it removed still have endometriosis, because endometriosis does not just grow around your reproductive organs. The reason it requires so many different specialists is because there are cases where the endometrium tissue can grow on your bowels, on your intestines. There's a lady who has it in her pancreas right now. There's women who have it on their lungs. It literally invades your body. And what makes it so painful is any female knows what causes your cycle. Throughout the month, the lining thickens. So throughout the month, while that lining is thickening, everywhere else that it is also thickens. It's a highly inflammatory disease. So when you get your cycle and you're supposed to bleed and it's supposed to shed, that lining that thickened throughout the rest of your body begins to shred just like your menstrual cycle would, except it has nowhere to go. So now you have internal bleeding. Your cavities start to fill up with blood. That's where the swelling and the pain starts to come from. Doctors have no idea why it happens. They just know that there's some type of genetic component, but they have not found a chromosome that links to it.
Right, and not only that, but there's not a lot of awareness to this issue.
And that's also pretty scary because you see commercials all the time about cancer and this disease and that disease. And there is a disease out there right now currently affecting, as I said in the beginning, 1 in 10 women. And those numbers are possibly and very likely a lot higher because most women don't know that they have it. And because of them not knowing that they have it, we don't know the real stats.
Right.
So to know that there's a disease that big out there that's not being talked about, the awareness isn't being raised, it makes it just this much harder for a solution to be found. It's pretty scary when you're someone who has to live with that disease.
And you have no idea what to do or what solutions are. Even before you even get diagnosed, you just think you're having painful periods. You just think that.
And that's an issue too, because like I said, it took me 11 years to get diagnosed. And I heard even crazier stories doing more research on women that didn't know 15, 16, 17 years. And the one thing we've all had in common in these stories is the previous diagnosis that we were being given, which were all wrong. I mean, I was told that I had PCOS, which they were on to something because one of the symptoms to endometriosis is growing random cysts on your ovaries. So they kept finding cysts on me, but they just thought I had polycystic ovary syndrome, instead of saying she probably has this because of endometriosis along with the rest of her symptoms.
Makes sense, right?
They told me I had an upside down uterus, a tilted uterus. They told me that I had IBS. They told me the IBS would eventually turn to Crohn's. Then they told me I did have Crohn's disease. And all of the symptoms that I was having, yes, are symptoms of those diseases.
Right.
But all of the symptoms that I was having in combined was a symptom of one specific disease. But because I was sent to so many different specialists, that's what they specialize in. Oh, well, with these symptoms, you have this.
Right.
With these symptoms, so every specialist gave me a new diagnosis and a new pill and a new treatment option. I had so many different, gynecologists tell me, oh, you just have dysmenorrhea, which is just a big word for saying really painful periods. You diagnosed me with a symptom.
Mm-hmm.
You've been with me plenty of times where we've gone to the hospital literally like 3 months in a row, and a doctor would admit me into the hospital because I'm vomiting nonstop, uncontrollably, and every time I leave, they would diagnose me with intractable vomiting,
Right.
the symptoms that I came in with.
And that's not even the scary part. The scary part is we have a son, so when I have to go to work and you wake up in the morning and she's fine or semi-fine. She don't feel good, but you think, all right, whatever, cool. I'll see you later. I'll be back as soon as I can. And then around 3, 4, you start getting calls from our son. And I'm like, where's mommy? I said, mommy's sleeping, mommy's sleeping. No, it's very weird that your son is calling you from work, especially FaceTiming. I'm like, where's mommy? And he goes, shows mommy, and mommy's just out of it. Mommy's not coherent. Mommy's gone, and it's scary knowing that, she can just pass out at any time, and there's no one else here but him. And, and he has to witness it and see that, and it's just very scary. And we're just glad that
We didn't know for years
Yeah.
why. We used to try to self-diagnose.
which you don't do.
Biggest props I gotta give is to him, because it was a really big burden in our relationship for a while, because it was one that lack of understanding, and that's why I want to make this video. Like, I need awareness to be raised to this, that lack of understanding of what she's really going through. Because one thing, and not just him, like even in the past, and not knowing that this is why I was always sick. Oh, you're just over exaggerating. Oh, the pain is in your head. I've had doctors give me pills for anxiety for this.
Right.
You understand? Like, they just think you're making it up once they don't know, because they don't know, so it must not be true.
Of course.
So it was a really big burden in our relationship, and it got into a point where he realized, like, every time we was like, okay, well, we're gonna stop eating this to see if it helps, because you ate this last night and you woke up throwing up all day today, so we're gonna cut this out. And I wouldn't eat that, and I'd still get sick.
Right.
Or I'll try putting new things and change it, and I was still getting sick. So then he was like, you know what? Start tracking it. Because I started telling him, I'm like, you realize every time I get sick, 2 days later, I have my period, or a day later, or it's when I get, like, it's always within that time. He's like, okay, so if you feel that way, write it on the calendar. He said, the same way you track your period, start tracking every time you get sick. And we started doing it, and I think it was for a couple of months. I started, and I was like, yeah, it's every time. And so I was like, okay, I'll go back to see doctors, because I gave up. Like, I stopped going to doctors. I was literally, he would tell me all the time, you want to go to the hospital, you want to go. And I was like, for what? Like, it's going to be the same bullshit. So I finally said, okay, well, now that we know this, I'm going to go back to the doctor. We went to the hospital, and when it happened, and I told them, and I said, well, I've noticed it only happens when I'm on my cycle.
Right.
And they basically just said, oh, well, it's a cycler thing. What?
But that's all they can tell you, because that's all they are looking for. That's all. The easy diagnosis or whatever the case is to, just get you out the door.
You know what's really scary, though? I saw a video of a nurse who was diagnosed with endometriosis, and the biggest point of this sentence is she's a nurse.
Yeah.
She didn't know what endometriosis was. She'd never heard of it. She did an interview talking about in school, they never learned anything. Like, some doctors don't, like, that's scary, where you have a disease where the people suffering from it knows more about that disease than the people in the medical field that's supposed to be there to help you. That awareness needs to get raised there, and between women. Because another thing that happened to me is, when I found out what I had and I started talking to certain people about it that was close to me, I got a very common response back. And you know what that was? About 4 of the people that I told what my diagnosis was said, I thought you knew you had endometriosis. And the problem with that is the lack of communication between women. Because there is this thing where when it's below your belt, we don't talk about it. It's embarrassing and we keep it to ourselves. In the beginning of our relationship, I couldn't even pee without having water running. Because the way we're raised to keep certain things like that, we don't talk about it, and we can't possibly raise awarenesses of things like reproductive issues, and if it's something we're too ashamed and embarrassed to talk about.
All right.
So the point of me making this video isn't for sympathy, and it isn't for someone to like feel bad. It's to raise awareness and start doing it. I want to take y'all on this journey with me. And it's going to be a series of videos. I want to take y'all on a journey so that it can be a more open thing, so y'all can get a real view of what it's like to live with endometriosis and educate y'all more the more I learn about it, because I wish that there was a time where I could have logged in on YouTube and found a video like this and be like, you know what? Maybe I have endometriosis.
I'm not the only one that's going through it, right?
And, or if I had a friend, you know, and I would have seen the video, I'm like, you know, you're always sick all the time. You might want to get checked out for this. I wish in these 11 years that would have happened.
Right.
And that's why I'm making this video. So stay tuned. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button down below to get notified every time we put out new content, whether it be on endometriosis or all the content that our channel puts together as a whole. Either one, they're great.
Everything.
And we have a lot of plans coming soon, so just stay tuned for it. Yeah,
Black Convo.
G baby.
Uncensored Locs.
We out.